What's going on, everybody? You are now tuned into the New Agent Podcast. This is the Agent Spotlight series, and tonight's a little bit different. And I say that at times, but tonight is the, I think, insight into what we are really all involved in, and that's fucking true magic. Anyways, no, dead serious.
Not black
guys.
magic.
Tonight, Jayme Lunsford is on the show. So, you know, I mentioned in the first take of all this, and now we don't have to be so nervous.
This is the first time we've ever sat at this table.
Never.
I'm trying to save your ass here, Nick.
So yeah, I know I'm terrible. Like I'm much better at just putting the awkward out there. So by the way, guys, there's going to
be two airings of this podcast. One will have no video and just the audio.
So now I got to determine. Well, I have to determine which audio is better. That's gonna be the tough thing.
Oh, that's true.
But anywho, guys, hey, so look, we're coming back for another episode of the New Agent Podcast, Agent Spotlight series. And tonight is honestly special for me, and not to regurgitate that. But guys, Jayme Lunsford has had a huge impact in my life. If you've ever watched an episode of this, you know this. So what's up, Miss Lunsford? How you doing?
I am wonderful.
Better than you deserve? No,
I deserve a lot.
Fuck yeah, you do.
I'm pretty good.
Love that. So now you got to get rid of all the stuff that we talked about earlier and come back to a full circle. Okay.
What do you mean earlier?
There you go.
I'm trying to save your ass still. You're not doing a very good job.
No, not at all. So guys, let's talk about Jayme, right? First and foremost, I am a true believer, and if you've ever talked to me before, that women have had a huge impact in my life. Jayme is definitely in my top 4. I say that because when I came here, I was like a little lost puppy dog, and I attached to somebody, and she was the one. So Jayme, before we get into all the stop shit, tell me who you are, where you come from, a little bit about you.
Are we doing the do-si-do?
Whatever you want to do.
Where did you come from? Where did you go?
Do that.
So I'm Jayme Lunsford. I knew what I wanted to do, and I went to college for it. I got my undergrad in 4 years, immediately went to my graduate, and started with one thing and realized very quickly counseling is not my forte because mercy is not my spiritual gift. So very quickly went from counseling to criminology so I could just figure out what the hell was wrong with people.
Okay.
And then I worked in gyms for a while, and then I managed gyms, and now I sell insurance.
Tell me about the path. Because not a normal person goes from being
very much
probation to being in gyms.
No, you're right.
Insurance.
So when I started in probation, I was a fat kid and was never going to be a fat kid again.
Okay.
So I started working out, really, really loved it. And when I moved to Fort Worth, I was a probation officer. And Tarrant County had a corporate fitness program with the YMCA. And the gym that I was at in Beaumont, Texas, I loved it. I was like, I think I can do this. So I started, when I came here, I was like, corporate fitness, how do I do both? So I got my license or my certificate to teach group fitness. And I started doing that for Tarrant County. At lunch breaks, we would go over, there was like a conference room that we would do aerobics in. And so I started doing that. I lost my job when I was 9 months pregnant.
No
with
shit.
My oldest daughter. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was 9 months pregnant with my oldest kid. I did some stupid shit and lost my job. And
on the next episode.
Right. Part 2. And so my oldest was 6 weeks old, and my ex-husband and I had gone to lunch after church one day at Rio Mambo in Fort Worth, and it was right by Fit for Life City View. As we're driving by, there's a sign that was like, now hiring group fitness instructors. I was like, I'm a group fitness instructor. I love doing this. So I walked in with my daughter in the baby carriage, and I talked to the group fitness director, and she's like, how do you feel about being a group fitness director? And I'm like, I'm sure. And then I auditioned with the owner of the gym, and that was the most nerve-wracking part of my life.
The owner of the gym?
His name is Robert Dyer.
Okay.
Yeah. I actually used to work for him in this building on the second floor. Yeah. So this building is kind of full circle for me.
You didn't tell me this earlier. There's some juju there.
I know, right? It's crazy. We didn't even do this on the first episode.
I know, right?
Yeah. So Robert and Pinky Dyer own the gym. Eleanor Heisey is probably one of the biggest impactors in my life, influencers. Walked in to apply for the job with Emma and the baby carriage, and 3 days later I auditioned in front of Robert's wife, Pinky, and I was so nervous. I was still in the baby carriage in the corner. I got hired on, and I had to teach step aerobics down the road in Camp Bowie, and that was the hardest thing ever, because the members at the Camp Bowie location were really mean, and if you weren't a really good step instructor, they would walk the fuck out.
Really?
Oh, and I would cry. I'd go into Eleanor's office and I would cry my eyes out because people would walk out, and I'm like,
Really?
I'm a people pleaser.
Yeah.
And if people are walking out because I'm not good enough, that's hard.
Okay.
Yeah, it's hard. It's
that.
really hard, especially when those people are like 60 something years old. And I'm like, old people love me. Why are they leaving? Yeah, it was rough. But I think that really, honestly, if I have to think about it now, that taught me a lot about resiliency. And like, screw you, you don't like what I'm doing, I'm not everybody else.
Yeah.
Adapt to me. I don't know my right from my left. Fuck off. I'm going right. You can go whatever way you want. Yeah, well, I'm left-handed, but I'm also right-handed. I'm ambiguous.
Ambidextrous?
Yeah, same thing.
Gotcha. Yeah, we're good. Okay, so obviously I'm going to ask this question because I'm prompting something, because I know where Perry came from, right? So how did you meet Perry at Fit for Life? How did that all work out?
Okay, so
because if you guys have not already found out, this is Perry's way better half, and I love you to
I'm the
death,
sexy
Perry.
redhead that's not a redhead right now.
Yeah, that's definitely
it's
both
back
true.
here somewhere.
Anywho, so where does Perry fit into all this?
So, oh gosh.
Into the situation about you in the gym at Fit for Life.
So 10 years ago, Perry bought the gym that I was then working at. After 7 years prior, I got the job working as an instructor. He was walking through one day, and he's with the group fitness manager. I don't know who this guy is walking through with the group fitness manager, but I figure he's probably an important person if he's walking through with the manager. Mm-hmm. And I liked his triceps. So I'm like, hey, Chris. So that he would turn and look at me. And then we became really good business partners and friends. And I went from being an instructor to a group fitness manager to, I'm very much I'm not going to do anything until I have to do it. Okay. And so I took my personal training test and failed it. It's like, I'm fine being an instructor. It's no big deal. Until one day he called, he was like, hey, we just hired a trainer. You have a new client. And I'm like, oh shit, I have to take this test. So I took my test, I passed it, and I started training. And then a few years later, we opened a gym in Aledo. I ran that one until the year before COVID, thank goodness. Then in January of 19, a guy came up to me first talking about selling insurance, and then got to his real point and said, have you ever thought about selling the gyms? I was like, well, yeah, everything's for sale for the right price. What are we talking about here? He called Perry. 2 months later, we were signing the paperwork, and all of a sudden I get to be a trophy wife.
Or so you thought.
Or so I thought. And then I realized, okay, there's more to this. And I thought, I'm not good at that. I need something to focus my attention on. Started recruiting for Perry as he was doing insurance. And recruiting was kind of a big mindfuck for me, because I like pleasing, and I have all these people that are like, yeah, I'm going to be there. I talk this up. They're excited about it. They want to come in. And then it's time for interviews, and 2 of the 12 people show up. They're like, God, I'm a failure. I'm such a disappointment. And what am I doing? I'm not good at being a failure or a disappointment. And then the recruiting kind of fell through. I'm not, like I said, I'm not good at being a failure or a disappointment. I can't handle that. So I started working the back end of the customer service stuff and doing all of the Facebook marketing and handling all the people that would come in, and handling people like after we would write a policy, doing customer service side of that. And realized, like, I always knew I had a passion for people, just leaving an impact, being a person that people remember, no matter if it's a phone conversation or standing in line at the grocery store, just being a person that, I talked to this girl this one time and she said, whatever. And that's like really kind of my driving factor. And then through all of it, after doing customer service for a while, so we probably started that in like June, October period. Like, all right, it's time for you to get licensed. And I'm like,
Scared shitless.
oh my God, you have no idea. Like, I ran a gym for 4 years.
Yeah,
I'm like,
selling insurance is scary as shit.
I can barely sell training. I mean, I mean, at the time I'm a single mom. I mean, well, not when I started writing, but when we first started the gyms and all of this, I'm like, I can't ask people to pay for training, much less like sell insurance over the phone to people I'm not even looking in the eye. And then I realized that it's so much more than training. Like, it's not just fitting into a pair of jeans, it's changing your life and really protecting your family. And as I got to talk to people and as I got to connect with people all over the country, it's just, you really are helping people. And in helping people, you make an impact. And making an impact is my passion.
In the first 11 minutes, you have not once said superpower.
Shut up! You're going back to the first episode that we didn't do. Now it's in my head.
So I love the fact that you, which is one thing I think, and just to be candid, which I don't think I've ever said to many people, anybody, is that's one thing I think I'm trying to learn how to do is I know I'm good at what we do, right? Mm-hmm. And helping people, and I have personally a passion for it. Now it's connecting the dots, right? And by that, I mean, how am I getting over just being in the sales role and truly morph that into helping people? So how did you do that? Because
can I first offer some insight
110%
on what you just said?
110% all day.
Because I'm going to make this about you now. Take 2. So you just said you're all about helping people. Right now, you're focused on helping people in the den, which is fine. We're in a good time of year for that. But if you want to completely change everything, allot your time. Focus on not just helping people here, but how do you focus on outward? How do you go outward? How do you take what you do here with the new agents and the people around here and externalize that? How do you make that go forward?
Something I've been racking my brain with the past couple of days, especially since Friday, our meeting on Friday. Mm-hmm. And you're absolutely right, because it's people being a people pleaser, mm-hmm. I am that way. Mm-hmm. I believe it's an endorphin. It's releasing your brain, right? I'm getting that, but in the wrong way. Is that fair to say?
No, it's absolutely. And in the last couple of months, I think I've been able to focus myself from my train of thought being a people pleaser into what we said before we started our second take, into making an impact. It's not pleasing people, because you know what? If I'm not your person, I'm not your person.
Yeah.
And it took me a long time to come to that realization, because if you don't like me, I'm doing something wrong. Mm-hmm. If you don't like me, you probably recognize a strength in me that is a weakness in yourself that you can't reconcile with. Yeah. Instead, like me, if I see something, I'm like, holy shit, that is phenomenal. Like, that is such a cool feature or such a cool personality trait. And I'm going to get to know you, and I'm going to compliment that and admire it because I'm secure in myself.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense.
But as humans, we recognize our weakness and we judge ourselves. And when we see that weakness as a strength in someone else, and it's our weakness, we can't wrap our head around the fact that I can grow to that. If I admire that, I can grow to that point. And when you can shift your mindset to know that there are no boundaries, okay. We are here to learn. We are here to grow. If we stop growing, why are we here? And as long as we're growing, as long as we're recognizing those strengths and recognizing those passions and strengths in other people, and we can continue to grow ourselves and to learn, why not? What's the harm in that? Where are we going to go? oh my gosh, I might be a better person. What the hell?
Amen, sister.
Preach.
Amen. All right, so I'm gonna switch gears a little bit.
Uh-oh.
Well, no, and it's because part of the podcast has been about being here. So I asked you earlier about the den, what it means to you. Before I get to that, I'm curious to know because this is the culture here is bar none, and
No.
nobody can repeat this. Obviously, you've had a big impact in that. So when you walk in these doors, I mean, that's the best way to put this. What inspired this for you? I know where Perry kind of came from, but like for you, this is the two of you guys built this. What I see here. Where did that come from for you? Or what was the inspiration?
He's the vision. I'm the inspiration.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah. I mean, like he has the visions. He has the moving parts, the equations.
All right.
Yeah. I mean, he is very much the logistics of everything.
Yes.
I'm the vision. I'm not a logistics person. I am not a future. I am not in anything other than this is where we are. This is what I want. I don't fantasize. I don't forward think, because if I forward think, I'm taking away from where I am.
Mm-hmm.
And he is always 5 steps ahead of anything in any situation. And so I think the fact that I'm here and now, and he is where are we going to go when we meet in the middle, there's a yin and a yang to everything. And through that, when we picture the den, I didn't picture knocking down the wall and having that whole room and being able to see the Trinity Bridge from my desk. I pictured, I worked in this office 5 years ago. That's really freaking cool. Or 6 years ago. That's really freaking cool. To come full circle. And I really, I've never I don't think I've ever put it that way. He's the vision. He's the logistics. I'm the
No, I mean, to me, because I pictured 2 things, right? I picture an artist and a muse.
Yeah, I'm very much the muse.
Yeah, and but without you, there is no.
Absolutely.
Right?
No, like we are very much a team in every aspect. We rely on each other. If his smile's missing, I have to work really hard for mine. If my smile's missing, same thing. And it's
that's
not
true that that's true though, because I can now, especially recently, go back and like, oh God, it makes all sense now. Oh, okay. All right.
And I mean, we both actually recently read a book, and it was comparing not comparing, but contrasting codependence to interdependence.
Okay.
And I'd never even thought of the word interdependent, but we are very interdependent. We are our own person, but at the same time, we are the same.
It's like your energy is connected internally, but like
100%. And if he's off, I have to really fight to find me. If I'm off, he has to fight to find him. And not in an unhealthy way, but in a way that brings us together and that brings us both back.
Interesting.
If that makes sense.
No, it does, because I've seen it, right? I've witnessed it, so it resonates with me. And I've never looked at it in that sense, but it's interesting because often you said you're the yin to his yang, or vice versa.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It's just an interesting topic. Something I asked you earlier that is extremely important to me, being kind of a mama's boy. Doing what we do and being a parent is hard. Fair enough to say?
Absolutely.
How the hell do you do it?
What I didn't say in my first in our first take was,
we never had a first take. This is the first take.
Oh God, now you're calling me out. What the hell? So when I first started, my medal was 8th grade basketball team. I missed so many games. I wasn't able to be there for so many things. It was really freaking hard.
Yeah.
It was really hard. But being able to have a relationship with my kids where I can have a conversation. Hey, I know mom's life is really different right now, but mom's life is different. So your life can be different, and mom's life is different. So your life can like not level up, but so I can be a better mom for you. So
Sacrifice now for the greater good.
yeah.
Yeah.
And, you know, in the very beginning, my oldest wasn't driving. I was going 2.5 hours a day, taking them to school, coming to work, going to pick them up, taking them home, having to leave early. And the fact that my ex and I have, we have such a good relationship in that if I have to work late, I'll get him. If he has to work over a weekend, it's no big deal. Like, he's out of town right now. So I have the kids all week. We're going to town next week. No big deal. It's like, it's not a favor. Like, they're my kids. You'll do the same.
Yeah.
Like, there's no give and take. It's, hey, we work together.
Yeah.
And it's the same with his ex. And being able to have such a good co-parenting relationship helps in so many ways. And getting through the 15-year-old freshman year where everything is so awful and they hate you so much, and you look at them and you're like, yeah, you just keep telling me, you know what, I'm the coolest mom you're ever going to know. 100%. You're never going to meet a cooler mom. There is nothing you can tell me that's going to like change anything. And eventually them getting to a place where they're like, wow, she's right. And knowing that they have access to everything if they pick up their phone. Like, there's ways around parental controls. Like, we have no control. So why not just accept where we are in the world and address it? Because if I pretend it's not there, I'm not doing you a favor. And instead,
a disservice.
We have all these open conversations and pave the way to whatever might happen, and know that there's nothing you can do that's going to change anything about how I feel about you. Like, we're going to talk about being a good human. We're going to preach that. And we have our 8 rules and we say those daily. But what is that?
Sounds like a vacuum cleaner of some sort.
All right. I'm not vacuuming. I don't do that.
I was like, what is that? I don't touch the vacuum.
That's not in here anyway. But I mean, just really and truly being real with your kids and not pretending, not living in a bubble, not living in a vacuum, because we don't do that. We're not in a world where they have no access to anything. Anything they want is on their phone. Literally. And it doesn't matter. Parental controls is bullshit. Oh, you have to request me to get an app, but you can go to Safari for whatever the hell you want. Right? It's stupid.
I don't know.
It makes no sense.
You said something earlier in the last recording that hit me. You talked about communication, right? And you have taught me a lot about being honest and open, and when to shut your mouth and when to open your mouth, right? So with your kids, that's got to be a huge part of what you do now, or what your success is, I would imagine. So we didn't talk about this in the last podcast. No, we did not. But last night we were sitting at Perry's brother's house. I even talking on the phone to a client in front of people when I first started was terrifying to me. I don't even like to talk to my mom on the phone because I don't like other people to hear me. It's weird. It's like just me. Subconsciously or self-consciously, you don't hear your voice. 100%. I don't like other people to hear me when I talk on the phone. But my oldest is 17, and she has this boy. She was in love with, and then she wasn't. Now he's in love with her, and now she's not. It's this weird, interesting thing. Yeah, they're going to prom next year. I love him. He's a great kid. But he calls her yesterday and she just fucking calls him out on his shit. She's like, no, I'm mad at you because you didn't do this. And I tried to do this and this and this. And we're sitting in the kitchen of his brother's house with Perry, me, his brother, and his sister-in-law. And she's just sitting there in front of all the adults on FaceTime, calling him out on his shit. Hell yeah. And that's communication. Yes. That is standing up for yourself. That is, here's another thing that this kid,
you know, Perry says often that he learns. You do that right there. You have a little. Yeah, there you go.
Not what you think it is. Trust me.
It's not bad. It's a booger.
I don't know. It probably was a booger. Sorry. Jeez.
But anyway, we're probably gonna go to the first video now. But so another thing, like communication, learning, we learn from everyone around us. I took my oldest shopping for prom shoes, and I found this badass pair of stilettos that I freaking loved, and they didn't have it in my size. But I tried them on, and I look at my daughter and I say, these are the shoes the wife of Perry Lunsford would wear. And she looked at me like I had 3 heads, and she goes, why would you call yourself that? You're not the wife of Perry Lunsford. You're Jayme Lunsford.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Why would you do that? And I was like, I was being facetious, but at the same time, like, thank you. Like, I wasn't putting myself in that box, but her recognizing that, and calling me on that was fucking huge. And the fact that coming from where I came from in your identity as a wife and as a mom, and as all of those things, how I was raised and how I, like, my blueprint growing up, to have her say that to me while I was shopping for prom shoes, while I was just like in my head, I'm thinking, Perry has helped me get to every place that I've been. Like, there was nothing demeaning about myself about it. Like, it was pride for my husband.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
I get you.
But to see her see both sides of that and be like, why would you put yourself in that box? That's communication. Like that, 100%, to address what you just said. That is what she did that day. And I was like, holy shit. And I did order those shoes the other day on Steve Madden because they didn't have them in my size.
I'm not surprised.
No.
But I gotta touch on this though, because that's fucking awesome that because when I hear that, like, she's fucking, I mean, you know, she's right. She's right in the sense that, like, yes, while he has done so much to inspire and motivate you to become the woman you are today, you still became the woman you are today. And you know, I'm gonna selfishly include how I felt when that guy Benny came and told me about the podcast, but like, feel that way about yourself now, because you impact people like that on a daily basis, and I'm living proof of that. So know that she's fucking right.
No, she is 100%. Like, it really did. It was staggering for her to say that.
Yeah, that's fucking. I can't. I hope Flynn says some shit like that to me.
I don't know that. I think I told one person that because and I think I told one person that when I actually ordered the shoes. I was looking at them on my computer the other day, and somebody came up there like, "Oh my gosh, those are awesome!" I'm like, "I have to tell you the funniest story about these." And they sat in my cart for a while, and I finally ordered them.
Buy now. Okay, so nothing happened. So, you know, I have an overwhelming amount of people reach out to me on this medium about what we do here, why it's important, how can they get involved, but more importantly, I think because you are the foundation of why we're here. Again, let's go back to what we just talked about. It's not just Perry Lunsford, it's you and Perry, right?
It's weird.
Because look, I don't give a shit and I'll tell Perry this too. There's no way he could be here right now in this with achieving this amount of success without you. Okay. So the most important question, because ironically enough, we're at 28 minutes, which
we're doing so much better now than we did the first time.
I want to know, because we all have our own interpretation. What does the den mean for you, Jayme Lunsford? And I have another question after that, but that's right now.
So the first time I said family, I think now that I've had time to think deeper about it, I think it's going to be inspiration. Because no matter who you are, no matter how much time you spend here, even if it's just for a sit-in for an interview, you come in for the interview process, you come and you get to spend an hour in the den. Whether you choose to come, whether it is for you or not, because a big part of how we grow, how we bring people in is this the right fit for you? It's inspiration. And you can be the most amazing person, but if the majority or whoever if there's not this sense that this is the right fit for you, we are not, the den as a whole is not going to do a disservice by bringing you in
Correct.
and making you struggle to feed your family, to pay your bills. If it's not the right fit, it's not the right fit. If it's not the right place, it's not the right place. But no matter how much time you spend in this room, at every table, with every person you talk to, you leave a better person.
Hell yeah, you do.
And before I said family, because we have the family we're given, and then we have the family we choose. But I think it's way more than that. And if you come in and decide, you know what, this isn't the thing for this isn't the right fit for me, for my family, you learned that from talking to the people here.
Mm-hmm.
You learn that from seeing that here. And if you come in and we're like, you're a great person, but I don't know that you can survive. I don't know how you can feed your family. Or if your partner or other person isn't on board, it's not the right fit. And I think it goes back to, what's my why? My why is to inspire people. And whether that's inspiring you to come in here and fucking crush it, or to realize, you know what, I'm good where I'm at. This isn't my place. And it's not just me, it's everybody in here, because everybody in here has a passion. Everybody in here loves the den. Everybody in here is committed to what we do and to helping people and to changing lives,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's the lives in here or the people we talk to on the phone. So to me, the den is inspiration.
I love that you acknowledge highly this is not a place for everybody.
No, it's not. Jeez. I didn't think it was a place for me.
Interesting. I didn't feel that when I walked in here. But that thanks to you.
You walked in about 8 months after
Touché.
I realized it was. I was like, oh, I'm actually a badass. I got this.
This place reaffirmed that I was a badass.
Mm-hmm.
And then made me realize that I didn't cope with my feelings well enough, and then life hit me, and then I had you guys. So
It's a good place to be.
Fuck yeah, it is. Something that I asked you last episode, or sorry, last time we did this.
The first take that didn't record because the Mac didn't work with the Android user.
Probably my fault. User error is
Android
always.
user.
Yeah, it's user error always.
I'm going to talk that one into the microphone.
I'll never move to the dark side.
The blue side?
Yeah. Jesus. So do what now?
So like the hair.
Yeah. Apparently I'm a whiteboard too.
Silver.
Whatever. I'll take it. Still looks good. Sorry. Got back on Bumble today, by the way. Don't have to get myself back on there.
Yeah.
Figured I almost finished with The Game by Neil Strauss.
That's a great book.
Fucking made me realize
Such
that
a great book.
No, but so I mentioned this earlier. This is episode 28 total of everything I've done, and you're the
28, 27 and a half.
No, technically 28.
Okay.
We'll air 28.
Okay. We're just trying to decide which one we're gonna do.
I've got the Phantom episode of 28. And I asked about being a female, being a woman in not only sales, but in an obviously male predominant industry, right? I say this because last week I had somebody say something that tripped me out, and I'm not, for the record, we're not misogynist, we're not sexist, never have been, never will be. In fact, if you want to go check out my post from like 2 months ago, where I just completely
showcase the women of the den.
The women of the den, because for me, not only has Jayme Lunsford been a huge impact in my life, there's also a few other women here that have done the same. But that's all aside. I want to know what maybe some advice or maybe something you give for the women out there that look at this and like, fuck, maybe I want to do this, but I don't know because it's sales, blah, blah, whatever.
I think, and this is exactly what I said before, I think it's easier for a woman than it is for a man, because whether I get on the phone with a woman or I get on the phone with a man, women are naturally more nurturing.
Mm-hmm.
We're more trustworthy. We're more likely to be open.
Yeah.
And when it comes to sales, if I get on the phone or if you get on the phone, same client, same day, 100%.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's not anything more than a mind fuck. because women come in and they're like, this is sales is male dominated. It's a man's world. When if you just realize who you are and realize what I said in the last take, what you're capable of.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, it's making an impact. I don't like, I talked to a lady the other day who's not going to do anything until probably November or December. And I spent an hour and a half on the phone with her because that's just how her brain worked. And my brain doesn't work like hers. And I had to figure out how to put it in a way that she would understand. Where you, Bryce, Stoner, anybody would have been like, oh, whatever, just call me when you're ready. But to be able to recognize those differences and be like, you know what? I completely understand you. Oh, you finally told me you're an accountant. You're an Excel spreadsheet kind of person. You're trying to put square pegs in a round hole. You can't do that. And being able to finally recognize that, but also have the wherewithal and the nurturing aspect to your nature to be able to take that time to get to a point where, you know what, in November, when this finally happens and you get your bonus and you're ready to put in your notice, I'm the girl you're going to call.
And you will be the girl to call. 100%. Yeah.
And I think that is what we talked about before. What has put me where I am is Barry says all the time, like, you take too long on your calls, you talk too long, you do this. Yeah, but my follow-up game is strong as fuck.
It makes you who you are.
Right. And like the reason my numbers are what they are is because the impact I make on that first call, when I follow up, they're going to come back. And I'm not a numbers person. I'm not a logistics person. I'm not an analytics person. I'm a feelings person. And I'm empathetic, and I'm going to recognize where you're at. And it might take me a minute to get to where you're at. But when I realize it, I'm going to speak to that.
Who has a better taking rate? You or Barry?
I have no idea.
Sorry. That was just
no, I really don't know. I don't see a shit.
Yeah.
I got my notification today and I was like, oh, I dropped 2%.
Yeah.
But
I ask because I think it speaks to why you have such a large book of business, but not only because the way that people expect to speak with you. I mean, I've literally been firsthand where it's like, no, I wanted to speak with Jayme.
Yeah, we did that last week.
Yeah,
like fine, take this one. I got that.
But you do leave an impact that is profound and in your own right, which is fucking amazing.
Thanks. Well, that's why you're here.
Well, thank you, love. I appreciate that. So
I remember your sit-in.
Well, oh God, that was a whole other story.
I know. That's take two.
I'll never
not take two. This is take two. That's part two.
I'll never forget though, but your hair was like fiery red. You were wearing a white dress. Yeah.
I was wearing a white dress.
Well,
wow, you remember that?
Well, yeah, 100%. Because I mean, literally, when I walked around the corner, it was like, and nobody's
we were right
here.
there.
But you were sitting there, but you were on the phone. You had the Phoenix red hair, and I was like,
thanks, Monica.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Monica. Thank you, Monica. Appreciate that. But it was you and Taz. I mean, fuck everybody.
Those are my bouncers.
No offense to everybody else, but it was
no offense, Bryce.
The conversation I had with Taz that sat me down, and then the continued conversation I had with you that kept me here. And I mean,
yeah, you were in a very interesting part in your life.
Yes.
And I don't have any idea other than the universe, how I recognize that, but the words that I said hit you where you were.
Mm-hmm.
And like, you're asking about my story, and my story resonated with where you were in your life. And I remember, if we're looking at the people who are here now, I remember a handful of sit-ins that made an impact. And like we were sitting right there where the couches are, and you sat on the end of the table, and we had a long conversation, and you were just so wide-eyed and intrigued, and you were hungry. You wanted to learn, you wanted to know what what else was out there for you? And that's not something that most people come in with. They come in with questions, they come in with a notebook, and they ask the right things and they say the right things. Yours was different because you were at a point in your life where you needed a pivot. And that was a hard fucking pivot.
Yeah.
Hard fucking pivot. And honestly, like, to look back at it now and to hear like what you said in the first cut that probably won't ever be aired, but to hear what you said, right? We're gonna do a blooper reel, but to hear what you said then, and to see where you and I are now, and to see where you are now, and to recognize that is huge. And it like that 100% goes back to the inspiration, where I didn't like, I speak words that I feel. I'm going to say what's on my mind. I'm going to say like, hey, this is what I get from you. This is what I feel like you need to hear.
Yeah.
And before we talked about how things are received, and you have to be in a place to be able to receive things, no matter how they're said. And I don't say things in a way everyone can receive, but you and I happen to be a whole lot alike. In that the words that I said, you were just like, holy shit. And somehow your friend that sent you there, that landed you here.
It's the universe, baby.
Exactly. It all worked out. But that all goes back to just leaving an impact on what we do, no matter who we talk to, on the phone, in person, a sit-in, all of it.
You're absolutely right. It just, I mean, leaving, now that you say that, and it's funny because I fucked up the first take of this, but we talked about things we didn't talk about then, and we're tying it in now. And
I don't know which one I like better.
I know, it's kind of weird because now
you're gonna do them both.
Well, it's funny because you said that I could just take a clip of like our faces right now, like, hey, and then play that as the original episode, which is exactly what I'm going to do. In fact, I'm going to play that as we'll do part 1 and part 2 because they're equally.
I really feel like they both been really good.
100%. That's the crazy thing.
So this is 37 and a half or 38 and a half?
No, 27 and a half.
Oh, I just made up a number.
Technically, this would be 28, and then we'll know 28.2 is where we're at now.
All right, so 28.3.
I don't know those fucking numbers.
He's just making shit up. He's making me itch. I don't do numbers. Math makes me itch.
Except for the fucking $500,000 that you put up on the door. That's not enough.
Want to hear a funny story?
100 fucking all day.
In third grade, found out my mom was pregnant. I was an only child for 8 years, and we're doing fractions. Jayme gets shingles. I blame shingles on fractions. I'm not good at math.
Wait, what?
Yeah, no, 100%. Shingles is stress. I'm in third grade. Fractions, only child having a baby sister. Shingles. I blame it on fractions. I don't do math. Math makes me itch.
Fair enough.
So don't talk about numbers.
No more numbers. Okay, so as in Perry style, let's go close this out.
5, 4, 3.
I always close this out with this. Look, hey, first off, thank you guys for giving me any bit of your time. I addressed the fact and acknowledge that it was all because of Jayme and not because of me. Nice. So thank you guys. And thank you even more, Miss Lunsford.
Thank you.
And so I'll let you close us out.
I am in control of myself, my attitude, my future. Always be on time. Try to help people who are smaller than me. Work every day to be a better person, mentally, physically, smarter, stronger. Forgive, be happy.
Have fun.
Have fun.
There you go. Thank you guys so much. Have a blessed evening.
Thank you so much.